Well, over the past few months, we've been looking on CNBC Africa at the importance of evaluating and understanding social media data. In the municipal elections, there was very interesting analysis, the public protector decision, and consumer complaints that go viral that can make the difference between algorithm-based and human-verified analytics. So really, no brand or service or public personality can overlook the value of knowing what's been said about them online and, I suppose, how to respond. So today we have JP Kloppers with us, a regular visitor to the station from Brand's Eye, taking us through the industry mood index from the past 2 months. Well, jump the gun there. JP, what are we looking at this evening?
Okay, well, first up we've got the automobile industry, so looking at the best performing and worst performing brands in that sector. Last month in July it was Mercedes-Benz up in the top, and this month in August we've seen Lexus actually take that top position. And it's not that Merck have done anything badly, I think it's more just Lexus. We've seen a lot of kind of aspirational conversation come through in the last month with when people talking about brands in the automobile industry which they aspire to one day own, talking a lot about Lexus, certainly more than any of the other brands. That was interesting. And Chevrolet just really struggling with the ability to maintain the servicing of the cars out there, and so quite a lot of complaints around just people waiting a long time for Chevrolet to come back to them.
Right, and let's, I mean, clearly cars just don't just sit there and look after themselves. People need to engage, the brands need to engage with every mention and with every trend. Yeah, and I think we'll see it across all of the industries that we're looking at tonight, just this kind of ubiquitous nature of social media that it touches every area of the business. If we go onto the airline industry, it's people complimenting and complaining, but I think what brands need to be cognizant of these days is that this is actually highlighting areas in the business where they can do better and where they need to give attention. So if we look at the airlines, you know, we've seen Safair was in pole position last month. This month it's Mango. And what we've seen Mango do well is just the basics. They had some specials which they executed well, no issues with the website, no issues with the specials, and then just delivering flights on time with planes that are clean. And we saw the opposite with Kulula. Kulula have really struggled in the last couple of months from a social media perspective. And again, it's just the basic. It's the cleanliness of your airlines, of your planes at least. It's your planes being on time, and it's your staff on the planes just treating people well. So just getting those things right translates into people loving you. And it's really not rocket science at the end of the day. All right, well, we've got on the board there now, JP, we've got Safair with 33.8%. That was for July, and Kulula with -19, Kulula -7. So not a good 2 months for Kulula, and as you say, Mango coming in there. Let's move on to the retail sector. Yeah, what we've seen in the retail sector, which is quite interesting actually, is almost a convergence. It's I think last month it was quite polarized. We had Food Lovers Market well out ahead of everybody else at 67% net positive sentiment. And then Spar at the bottom. This month we've seen that kind of almost condensing. So the top brand was Woolies at 28%, and then Checkers at 11%. So not much difference between the top and the bottom brands. And if we remember from the past couple of months, it's been the big campaigns which Checkers and Pick n Pay have been running. And in them ending those campaigns over the past week or two, there have been a lot of complaints, particularly more on Checkers than at Pick n Pay, interestingly enough, just about consumers saying, hey, my collection's not complete, where can I get more? And so there's almost this big second-hand market emerging on Gumtree and OLX as people start trading these loyalty programs. But I think what brands need to be aware of is just the long-term effects of running a campaign like this. I think for Checkers, we've almost seen people wanting to boycott Checkers because they can't get these little mini brand units. Whereas with Pick n Pay, I think it's built loyalty. I'm not sure it's done the same thing with Checkers. We'll have to monitor that over the months to come. Let's have a quick look before we get on to Trump and Clinton at the telecom sector. Let's have a look at that first, JP. In the telecom sector, this is actually the one that's fascinating. Last week we looked at just the hubris which came through in one or two of MTN's responses. And for the first time, we've seen them in the most negative position with Telkom. And while telecom have been getting better over time, you see they've gone from -34 to -27. And really, for a fixed line operator, coming off that base and getting better is a big movement for them. So I think it's, even though they're at the bottom, it's worth saying well done. For MTN, however, I'd be worried if I was sitting in any of the kind of MTN boardrooms at the moment, because the customers...
They've had reputation issues, we know that, for a variety of reasons. But let's look to finish off, JP, time's against us, at Trump and Clinton. Now, as we get closer to the election, we're going to hear more about this. What are the stats telling us?
That's right. So we've just pulled these stats today. And looking at the last 5 weeks, it's fascinating to see how on the social media it's almost an accentuated view of what we see in other polls. So coming out of the conventions late July, we saw a lot of support for Clinton, and almost a dearth of support for Trump. I think people are confused, not sure what to do. But over the past 5 weeks, we've seen those converge, where right now on social media, if we look at the number of advocates between Trump and Clinton, it's neck and neck. And what was counterintuitive in the data that we saw is that while you'd expect people to be very polar on Trump, it was actually the opposite. There was a very kind of polar opinions on Clinton and quite a lot of neutral conversation on Trump. And that for me is going to be the kind of fascinating thing to watch over these next couple of weeks, is looking at, in the people who are almost on the fence, who's able to win their hearts, the Trump campaign or the Clinton campaign. And I think social media is going to be a great place to go to that, to try and see who's moving the dial in terms of winning people's hearts in that kind of mass group of people who saying, I need to vote for almost the better of two evils here.
Yeah. For me, the most fascinating outcomes of what you're doing is in politics. The municipal elections, as we said, fascinating stuff from that. Looking forward to seeing what you've got to say, JP, in the next couple of months as that US election moves to its close. That was JP Kloppers from Brands Eye, taking us through the Industry Mood Index over the past 2 months. Well, that's it for Closing Bell South Africa, and we'll have Closing Bell West Africa right after this.